Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Ed, and I want to spend a little bit of time today in this video talking about the platform that I mainly use for recording, for live streaming, developing all of my shorts, all of the things that I've been doing, and that's Riverside. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. I pay for Riverside. I use this on a daily basis for my recording, for my live streaming. It's very simple to use. It's much less expensive, although not cheap, than something like StreamYard, but gives you so many different opportunities and abilities to really take your content creation to a new level. And as all of you know, I talk a lot about e-ink on this channel, but I also talk a lot about organization and productivity. And for me, that's why this video is so important, because the amount of things I've been able to do since purchasing Riverside is tremendous compared to what I was able to do by using just OBS, which I am using to record this video so that I can show you Riverside. But at the same time, the editing then had to go to another platform, which was DaVinci Resolve. And I love DaVinci. Don't get me wrong. I paid for the studio version. I think it's fabulous. I've really gotten decent at editing in it, but then I have started to really embrace the editor in Riverside, and they just released the 2.0 version of that editing software. So this won't be an in-depth tutorial. It's going to be an overview of how I use Riverside and also what that process kind of looks like, and just to show you some of the things that are available. And I will show you a little bit about pricing and what that looks like. So you can get into it fairly inexpensively. Now, if you go webinar, it's going to be a lot more expensive, and they have several tiers. So we'll look at that for a minute, but I want to show you what you can do and things that I'm not even using yet, but I plan to be using soon. So let's go ahead, we'll dive into it and take a look. So here we are with the Riverside homepage, and there's a lot of different ways you can engage with this. You'll notice here on the left, it's got home, it's got projects, it's got the planner, it's got hosting for if you decide to host your podcast on Riverside. It's got a new newsletter feature that I plan to use but haven't launched yet. And then it's got a website, and that combines both your newsletter and your podcast hosting right there. And then if you go into this main window, you'll see you can drag and drop a file, you can upload that file, and you can edit a recording, create clips, make thumbnails, or have it write something for you. So Riverside is AI infused, but you don't have to use the AI. The AI is there as a guide. It's there as a resource, and you can use it as much or as little as you want. You can record, you can edit, you can plan, and you'll notice that here it's got a little lightning bolt. I don't have the webinar version. I don't need that. I do live recording. That all comes with the version that I have. Let's go ahead and look down on this main screen, and then we'll go through the tabs. So what you'll see here is my analytics, and it's showing total streams of my podcast, which the latest one that I released was with Mitchell Scott on Superno plugins and on Remarkable mods. And you'll see here this huge spike of 711 streams. And then I had much smaller streams because I hadn't released a podcast episode in a while. And then it even breaks it down and tells me how many have been on Spotify, how many have been on Apple Podcasts, and these are just the top ones. It's on other platforms as well. And then on YouTube, you can see that's where the biggest bang for the buck for me is, because that releases both video and audio. And Spotify, I have to go separately and add my video. It'll show recent episodes here for the podcast. It shows recent clips, whether they've been exported, whether they were a magic clip, which is something I'll show you in a minute, and then you can say more. And then you can see Kendall down here talking about new tools, and you can do a lot of tutorials. Just a really nice, clean interface, and you can also search. But now let's go ahead and look over here on the left. And if you go down, you'll see projects. And projects is kind of what you've been working on. So you'll see here that this just says Mitchell and Ed. I didn't rename the project yet, but I'll rename it to be, whatever the topic was. You'll see here it's Supernode plugins worth noting, calligraphy pen showdown, the books go Gen 2 comparison, and then you will notice all the other things that I've been up to, including live streams. So you can create a new project at any time, go ahead and give it a title, and then of course you see over here on the left, you have your co-creator. You can personalize that, where you can kind of tell it who you are, give it a little bit more information about your channel, how you want it to operate. You can choose not to use that at all. And you can actually hide the co-creator window and it just stays right there. You can record, you can upload, you can edit, and you can add an AI voice transcript. So you can actually type out a transcript and have AI generate your own voice. I don't do that. The only time I'll use the AI voice is occasionally if I misspeak a word and I want to change a word because it doesn't really fit in the sentence. I will go back and dub that over. And you probably never even noticed it. It's that good, but it's usually one word at a time. Like I said a word and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'll go back and I'll dub it and then I'll listen to it back to make sure it sounds seamless. That's the only time I've used the AI voice. But again, it's an option. So you can do a lot of different things there. So that was projects. And you'll see now there'll be an untitled. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. So we'll remove that because I don't need one. But this video will be edited in Riverside. So you'll be able to see that will be a project after I upload it. But then you can go to your planner, and the planner is probably one of my favorite things, and it's fairly new. So here's where you'll see all of the different things that I have planned. I actually have 2 shorts scheduled for tomorrow, which is amazing to me, so I can schedule those out. When you go in and you want to add, you can add a session. So you'll see that I have something coming up on the 19th, a live stream, looking at the Note Air 5C and the Super Note Manta. You'll see that you can do a webinar if you have that planned. You can do an episode, so that's your podcast episode. You can do a social media post, which is really cool because when you go to do that, you can choose from all of these platforms. I use YouTube Shorts here, but you can also do TikTok, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, whole bunch of different things. And then you can go ahead and add your descriptions, titles, scheduling, all of that right from here. And then you can look at this in a weekly view, a monthly view, or a list view, which is really cool. So I tend to like the month view so that I can see everything that I have listed out, and it just makes it really easy and intuitive to use. And also they just added syncing to Google Calendar. So I can have it give me a reminder that I have a short launching, and if I have to do some tweaking because you can't set like the category and a couple of other things or link it to the main video. So I usually go in shortly after it launches and do all of that from the Shorts editor. But it gives you a really good, clean way to organize your content. Way faster than anything I've ever used before. Then we're going to look at hosting. And in hosting, when you go here, this is your podcast. So you'll notice I changed over from Change Agent, which we'd had for a long time, to the new graphic and the new branding. And now I can see my episodes. I can see when they were published, how many streams they had. And then if you go into analytics, you're going to see all of that in a much more granular way. And you'll see the performance for the most recent videos. So pretty cool. It gives you that comparison chart. Won't go in depth on this. I may do another video later, but then you can see all of the different podcast platforms that I currently operate on. And all of these get published straight from Riverside. So when I publish here, everything goes up. The only manual thing I have to do is add the video to Spotify because of the fact that Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Deezer, all of those are audio only. So I don't have to do anything special with them at all. It just automatically publishes, and including my Patreon because I'm hosting on Riverside. And here's where, well, we'll get to the website here in a minute, but you can also access that right from here if you're subscribed to the podcast through Riverside. But let's go to the newsletter, and you'll notice I don't have anything here yet. I don't have any posts yet, and I'm going to start generating this. I'm probably going to backwards fill it and do my old podcast episodes and write them up for people to go back, and if they'd rather read content than watch the whole episode to get a sense before they jump in, and maybe even add some separate things. And you can generate just created posts. So you can write from scratch. You can generate from a video transcript. It's really, really cool. And if I had subscribers, which of course I don't have any newsletters yet, I can go ahead and I can see those subscribers here, and I can even upload. So if you follow me on Patreon, follow me on Buy Me a Coffee, on YouTube, and you want to be a subscriber to the newsletter, you can always let me know, and I can mass upload everybody to that. The last three things we're going to look at really quickly are the website. I'm going to show you that right now. And then we'll look at the studio and we will look at the editor. And again, we're only going to look there for a minute. It's going to be real quick. So here you can see this is the website. It says about, and I can add in a lot of different things here. I'm going to put my links in. But if you go to view website here, and you can also get to that from the hosting platform, so it might be an easier way to show you. When I click on website here and say view website, you can now see I have the newsletter, and I have a podcast, and I have the about. About just tells you a little bit about the channel. Podcast shows you all of the different podcasts. And then the newsletter, when I have those, will have all of that. And you can put your email address in and automatically subscribe. Pretty cool. Like it a lot. It's a nice way. I have my main website that has my blog, that has all of that information, but this is another way for you to be able to engage with the channel in a really nice, clean way around a specific thing. And that specific thing being the podcast and the newsletter. So pretty cool. So let's go ahead and go back out of that. And I want to show you the studio. And here's why I really enjoy the studio. So right now you'll see, and I don't have my camera active because I'm using OBS right now to record this, but you can see here that I can select my camera. I can select default browsers. I can check my mic gain, and you'll see it looks a little high. One nice thing about Riverside is it will actually pull that down and level that out for you after the fact. So regardless, I usually try and make sure I'm not redlining like this, but you can test all of that right from here. You can test your sound. You can tell it if you're using headphones or not, and then you can join the studio. And when you join the studio, you have the ability to brand. And right now you'll see I've got this custom branding all the way around. I can change the layouts to different things. It defaults to a tab style, but there's only one speaker in here, but I can always change quickly to any style that I want. It's really, really cool. And it allows you to have a lot of flexibility with what you're trying to do with your recording. And then over here on the right, you have a chat. So if you're live streaming, you can add that by going up here to this button, and you get a chat that shows not only the studio chat, but if you have live stream enabled, you can see the public chat. You can turn on and off the brand. So I could take off the logo and the branding if I wanted to. You can add in text, so you can show different things here and add new ones. You even have audio, so you can add in layers and sound effects. You can add in cheering or clapping. A lot of different things you can do with this. And then you can go in and have your settings and look at your sample rate, whether you want 4K, 1080p, noise reduction turned on. And you can also go to your full settings panel that gives you all of the different things that you want to do. Really cool, really powerful, much easier, at least for me, to use than having to do all of that separately. Again, this is meant to be an in-depth tutorial, but the last thing that I want to show before we get to pricing is going to be the editor. So if we go back to a project, and let's just go into mine and Mitchell's project here. You'll see these things. You have your recordings, your made for you, your edits, and your exports. But let's just go into made for you. And when I go into here, it takes it a minute to load sometimes because you have a lot of files being put in, and you are dependent a little bit on what's happening. So here you get your magic episodes, you get magic clips, you get hooks, segments. It generates a lot of different things. I don't use all of this, and I'm learning more and more about it. But when you go in to edit, and I've already edited this, I've already published this, but this is an older file, and I'm going to show you up here in the right. So this is the traditional editor, which was already very good. It auto chapters, it does scene selections, it does a whole bunch of really cool stuff. But now if I go into preview new editor, and it'll take it a minute here, but this is where the real power of this new editor comes in. So you'll see I have that co-creator up here in the right corner, and co-creator is your AI assistant. I have various AI tools, so I can come over here and I can remove pauses automatically, remove filler words, find fluff, where if I have a side conversation or something isn't relevant, it gives you suggestions. You can accept them or delete them. I find it's pretty accurate. And I can review and it'll tell you this seems like a side comment or something else. Really, really cool. You can do magic audio, which I always leave on, because if your gain is too low or too high, it will fix that and remove any clipping that you have, regardless of your mic. Unless you have like really bad audio, there's nothing it can do with that. But if the audio is just too high or low, it will find the right balance and it will equalize everybody. So it's really cool. Smart mute, if you have people talking over, sometimes I use that. Sometimes I'd rather do it myself. And then smart layouts. So if you have a discussion and a lot of stuff is going back and forth, you can have it try to do that for you and lay it out to change views to keep it so it's not on a static view all of the time. Eye contact, I've played with a little bit. Some folks find it a little creepy, so it depends how far you are off. If you're pretty close, it helps to keep zeroed in. But if you're looking over here, it's also going to bring your eyes over this way. So some people aren't going to love that. But what's cool about this is you can add in transitions, you can add in music, you can zoom in on your timeline to see your wavelength. For like here, you can see my music and it's all right there. And then I can scroll across and you can see the wavelength, and it works very much like any editing software. So if I drag here and hit delete, it's going to delete that. It's just really amazing. We'll go down here to brand. This is just another way you can apply your brand. If you're doing a short, you can add captions. You can have it do all of this out front as it's generating so that you just go back and tweak where things sit. You have tracks, so you can turn tracks on and off. You have your media, so you can add in other media. You can add in stuff from projects, from videos. You can add in images. You can add in audio that you've uploaded. All of that works really well. They have a new thing called motion graphics, and I'll link in the description down below for someone who just did a tutorial on this, and you can take a look at that. But just really, really cool stuff. And then you can tweak all of these. But you can add in, click, like, subscribe, and they give you a lot of options. You can also do your text, where you can do title, subtitle, body, speaker. So you can name your speaker and put that in. Here are your captions. You can see your branded captions here, but then you can do a whole bunch of other presets. And then here they have stock photos that you can use. And then they have audio. And the audio you can do by mood, you can do by style, by genre. Now let's go ahead and take a look really quickly at the pricing on Riverside. So you can do this for free, and it is very limited in the free tier. So I will say that. You do have the Pro plan, which allows you to have one studio, 15 hours of separate track downloads. You can go up to 4K in video, and a lot of the different functions. You'll see magic clips and show notes, audio, all of that, podcast hosting and analytics, and publishing to a lot of different platforms. But where I am, and this used to be called the live account, and that's what the grow account is now. So this one is where you would be looking at all of the things that you've seen me show here today. You get the newsletter, you get the creator website, podcasting, AI thumbnails, full 1080p live streaming, plus 4K recording. You can do live call-ins, live stream chats, all of the stuff you saw me doing here today. And I know that sounds like a lot of money, the $34 a month, but when you consider what you get, I think that's a good value for me. The amount of time, just sheer time it has saved me to use this platform has been tremendous. And I see this as an investment. And if you sign up with my code, you get a discount. I think you get 1 month free. So you'll find that down in the description. Isn't a sales pitch. I'm just saying that if you're someone who really values minimizing the amount of time or finding showing that you are suffering from a lack of time to create, and also that you aren't a superstar video editor, which I'm not. I mean, like I said, I own DaVinci Resolve and I've gotten better, but I find that I'm even better at making reliable content by using this. And when you're looking at what you get for value for money and all of these integrations that allow you to record, stream, and all of the different things that you expect to be able to do, this is a tremendous value for me. But you may want the pro plan. You may not want any plan. Take a free test drive and start for free and just see what the basic experience is like. And you might find that you really enjoy the way that this works. So for me, yes, $34, that's about $400 a year, give or take, by the time you add all of that up. Is it worth that? To me, yes. To you, maybe not. And you should do the right thing for you. You'll see why I didn't go to the webinar tier. It doubles the price. I don't need the webinar functions. So for me, it's not as important, but for someone else, it might really be what they need. So the idea being that if you can justify that cost per year because you make that much more money, I don't make that kind of money, but it may be the perfect value for you. For me, the $400 a year is a sweet spot. I know I can handle that. It allows me to put out way more content than I was able to do by just using OBS and DaVinci Resolve. So I think that those are the decisions and the questions that you just have to think about. But let's go ahead and jump back over real quick. We'll talk about kind of some final thoughts, and then we will call it a night. All right, everybody. So thanks for hanging in there with me on that. It was one of those things where I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but with the release of the 2.0 editing software, I just thought it was time. I've been using Riverside for a while. It's very useful for me. It enhances and allows me to create more content, get it out to you faster, get out more of it, and really make my workflow fairly seamless. And I'm learning more and more. And I think that it's going to get better and better. I'm learning how to use scenes better and transitions better and not actually cut scenes, but actually just use the raw recording and add the transitions. Things that maybe sometime I will go down the path and talk about. But for this video, I just wanted to show you kind of how I use it at a very high level, why I think it's valuable, where I think that it could be valuable for somebody just starting out and not having to bootstrap things like I did before. You know, I'm a huge proponent of open source software. I used to use Stream Ninja. I used to use Social Stream Ninja. I used to use OBS only, all of those things, those old streams I did. And it took so much time to try and integrate all of these open source plugins, which I'm still a huge supporter of. But at some point I was like, can't I just simplify? And then I did a return on investment analysis. How much time was it taking me to do all of these things? And was $400 roughly a year worth my time to be able to put out shorts, which I had never really done much of, to put out more content, to get more subscribers, to get more views? And the ROI came back that, you know what, $400 was a very small investment per year to be able to do all of those things. It pays for itself over that amount of time. Anyway, thank you all again. Please feel free to support the channel, like, subscribe, and drop your comments down below. Let me know if you think this is a good investment. Let me know if you would like more content on Riverside. I'm not the only one doing this, so this is more of me doing a show and tell of my process, but I'm happy to entertain whether we can do more of that in the future. And until next time, keep moving forward, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye now.